All right, welcome to Bet the Edge. I'm Jay Croucher here with Drew Dinsick. Just the two of us today, just two men in black talking about the National Basketball Association and dive into everything. I got a lot of strong opinions, Drew, particularly about Nuggets Suns and also about Bucks Heat, which is a series that's broken me emotionally, but still got strong opinions about it. Still looking forward to diving into it. But let's start off talking about the games last night. I guess the big thing that happened, given that the Nuggets and Suns closed out their series, as they're always likely to, is Celtics lost. Trae Young restored his credibility after a debacle of a series last year against Miami. Not a great start to this playoffs either, but he was amazing. But the Celtics are still minus 2,500 to win the series. They're more likely to win the series now than they were before the series started. So as much as the sky is falling, that is still the reality. I don't really read much into last night. I still think Boston will take care of business and ultimately progress pretty easily. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I was extremely disappointed in the Celtics' defensive effort last night. I had some under in that game. It really shouldn't have been close. And the fact that ultimately they let that thing slip through their fingers with letting Trae get off in the fourth quarter was pretty frustrating. Haven't really enjoyed a minute of this series, I don't think. It hasn't been entertaining basketball. It hasn't really taught me anything about the Celtics. And I guess, maybe the major takeaway is that you can't really dismiss the nature of Trae Young as a basketball player when it gets into playoff mode. He just happens to have a gear and a style of play that lends itself to the ISO, just in general, the ISO nature of playoff basketball. That said, Celtics, I think, win game 6. I think they close this up, and they ought to be something in the ballpark of minus 200, minus 240 against the Sixers, even though now the Sixers have extended rest heading into that series.
Well, that's the big thing, is that I don't think, the Celtics are going to win this series. They're a 95% chance to win it if you math out the money lines. For Atlanta, having a 5% chance to win. But the big thing is giving Joel Embiid an extra 3 days rest, which I think is going to be pretty material. So they shot themselves in the foot there, but ultimately they should still progress. More interesting series, the other two teams that won last night, Suns, Nuggets. Suns have opened minus 135 favorites. The Nuggets are plus 110. I don't think the Suns have played one impressive game yet in the playoffs. Obviously, the talent is there, and everyone's just expecting that it's all going to click. But if they play at the level they did against the Clippers, they're going to lose to the Nuggets. And I would make the Nuggets slight favorites in this series. But the bigger bet for me is that right now, in terms of the Western Conference market, the Suns are plus 150 and the Nuggets are plus 310. Like, the Nuggets are barely underdogs in this series. They're guaranteed home court in the next round, which Phoenix are not, though they will probably have it. Those prices are completely wrong to me. I think the Nuggets are a very good bet at plus 310. To me, that should be more like plus 240. But what do you make of that, and what do you make of this series?
This is tough, Jay. Not because I think this is a good price. I think this is a bad price. I think the Nuggets should be meaningful favorites over the Suns in this series. But to your later point, I feel less excited about the matchup of Nuggets versus the Warriors, for instance, than I would Suns Warriors. Warriors obviously still have a long way to go to get to the Western Conference Finals. They're certainly not a team playing their best basketball. I get that, and we'll cover them in a moment. But I don't see the Nuggets matching up especially well against the Warriors, whereas the Suns I see matching up very well against the Warriors. So I think I'm at the point where I'm just all in on the Nuggets in this series, and then probably try to walk away and hope that I have a little bit of a green number for my NBA playoffs, because I have a tough time seeing there being meaningful value in the futures market unless somehow the Kings can slay the Warriors here, in which case then you're absolutely right. Then that Nuggets price is absurd. So that's kind of where I sit here. I personally think that this series, and we want to talk about Suns Nuggets in particular. The Suns beating the Clippers 4-1, that was the least impressive 4-1 series victory that I have ever seen in my life. Period. Full stop. The Clippers were in every game. The Clippers were an absolute mess, particularly in the later stages of that series where they had no PG and no Kawhi. And for the fact that was as difficult as it was for them to get over the line should be a wake up call for that team, for that coach, for that, for those superstars. Like, they need to figure some things out. And if you want to point to, well, what was it about the Suns that was especially concerning, Jay? It was their rim protection. It was Ayton's play on defense. That was sort of number 1.1. And like, what are we concerned about here? And okay, now you have one of the most dynamic offensive bigs in modern NBA history, and Nikola Jokic, going up against a defense that really has no answer for him whatsoever. And the Suns are going to be put in a place where if they're not scoring 130 in every game, they're not winning in this series. And so, I realistically, I'm curious to see what kind of adjustments Monty Williams has up his sleeve to try to get his defense going to where it can keep the Nuggets from getting into the 130s in this series. It was kind of where I stand. I think the Nuggets are absolutely a team that should be being given more credit, considering this matchup in particular. And I think I'm trying not to chase my losses here on Grizzlies, which are going to be substantial. But I'm going to have a pretty big bet overall here on the Nuggets.
Yep, I like it. Fully endorsed. The Suns have no idea what they are yet. Torrey Craig plays a ton of minutes some nights, plays 17 last night. Okogie plays 33. They're still playing 10 guys. They don't know what to do between Payne and Lee and Shamet or Wainwright, or TJ Warren can't get off the bench. Terrence Ross is in and out. Seems like they've given up on him now. And the one thing that I'd be a little bit scared of is that I think the Suns are probably the highest variance team I can remember, just because there's so little sample in what this team is. I think this team has played less together at full strength than even the Harden, Kyrie, Durant Nets did that season. So that would be the concern. But in terms of everything we've seen, this team doesn't seem to have a defensive level at the moment. Ayton is, I don't know what's happened to Ayton, but he's regressed from last season in a meaningful way. I'd be a little bit concerned just in terms of the matchup, where in theory, Ayton has given Jokic problems in the past. At the same time, like we saw what Jokic did to Brook Lopez in the post at the end of the regular season, I think that Jokic is just too good to be guarded and shut down by one person in any case. The thing, though, is that I think the Suns, one of their big weaknesses at the moment is that Chris Paul is a defensive liability now, where he can't stay in front of anyone with speed. Yeah. He gets destroyed by people with size. That cost them the Dallas series. But it's not really the series where I think he's going to be super exploited. Jamal Murray is not fast. Like, he's not a fast person, and he's not that big either, even though he tries to play like he is. Nuggets don't really have a wing who's going to destroy Chris Paul. So I think Paul should be able to hide. But we've talked about this in the past, that trying to predict the matchups and how they're going to unfold, like, that has to take a backseat to just who is the better team. And I think the Nuggets are the better team. If you focus on the matchup stuff, then Jimmy Butler should be having a terrible series against the Bucks in theory, because they block off the rim. We saw what they did to him in the playoffs 2 years ago, but he's just playing awesome. And so I think you just have to regress to who the better team is. I think the Nuggets are the better team, and they've got home court, so I think they should be the favorite in this one. Cool. All right. Before we get to Knicks-Cavs, which has been a tough series for me, download the RotoWorld app to receive breaking player news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting players on your roster. Get the latest injury updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It's available in the App Store today. All right, Knicks-Cavs. This has been a very frustrating series. I've been all over the Cavs. Feeling really good about myself after game 2, and then games 3 and 4 happened, and there's a lot going on in this series, but the main problem for me is that Mitchell Robinson has been the best big in the series by margin. Jared Allen has been completely useless, and the Cavs, I don't really understand it, but they don't seem to have an answer for the Knicks' below average defense. And then the Knicks are getting just enough out of Jalen Brunson and the suddenly rejuvenated RJ Barrett to score to win. And the Knicks, they just play with such force, and they're well coached. This has been a really good year for Tibbs, who I think was teetering coming into this season. He's shown that he's the clear advantage coach in this matchup. And this Knicks team is just smarter, and they play harder, and they've got more strength and physicality, and it seems like they're just going to win this series now. But what do you make of the game tonight?
Cavs for me in this one, a couple ways. I agree with all that sentiment, and expecting, really and truly, the warning bells should have been going off after the game one loss, because the Cavs this year, much in the same way that we know the Warriors this year, are a bad team on the road. They're just, for whatever reason, some of their players just underwhelm, either shooting, defensive effort, or just in general, being part of the offense, like they tend to no-show. Whereas at home, they're a much more dynamic offensive team. And I agree with you. The fact that Mitchell Robinson has been so impactful in this series has been a shocker. I would expect the Cavs get going in this one. And this looks more like a game two than it does like, anything we saw from them when they were in New York. So I don't mind laying the points with the Cavs, but I think the best angle of attack is Cavs team total over 103. Mitchell, I expect him to have a humongously impactful night offensively. Garland, I would expect to shoot better. And then if you're getting anything out of Mobley, honestly, like Bickerstaff should know, like if you can get Mobley in a position where he is more aggressive, he can get Mitchell Robinson into foul trouble in this game early. You can get him onto the bench, then all of a sudden you've completely unlocked the Knicks defense, and the Cavs can break 100, I think, without sweating. So team total over for Cavs is my favorite play on this one.
Yep, I like that. Like, this Knicks defense just shouldn't be this good. They were a below average defense and average level defense in the regular season. The personnel isn't great. I don't know why the Cavs have gone away from attacking Brunson as much, which they had a lot of success with. Bickerstaff is just doing too much dumb stuff. Like, Rubio can't play. Rubio cannot play in this series, and they cannot play. If they're going to play him, they can't play him alongside two bigs or a Coro. Like, it just doesn't work, these lineups. And as well as the Knicks have played, like the Cavs, they were just rattled in those, particularly game three. They were just completely rattled. They just looked really young. Game four in the second half, it seems like they started to figure some stuff out where they went away from as much ISO stuff and went to more Darius Garland pick and roll and had a lot of success. And then the Knicks realized that if they're running pick and roll with Jared Allen, then you just double Garland, and Jared Allen can't do anything 4-on-3 because he can't shoot, can't really pass, can't really attack Mitchell Robinson or Hartenstein at the rim. So I think there's just a lot of bad answers for the Cavs at the moment, but they should show up tonight and take care of business. Another team that should take care of business in theory is the Memphis Grizzlies, who just before tip of Game 4, I went all in on Grizzlies series plus 300. Thought that price was wrong. Was feeling pretty good with 4 minutes left in Game 4. Feeling pretty bad now. Do you think the series is done, or the Grizzlies are 2 at home? Can they get back into it?
Well, if you liked him at plus 300, you're going to love him at plus 600, Jay. No, I mean, I am extremely emotionally conflicted on this one, and we should maybe just talk about this real quick sidebar. The NBA playoffs are a grind, even more so than the regular season, because in the regular season you're just crunching numbers, you're finding edges, you're playing. You're just trying to accumulate over the balance of a season, and other than keeping up with injuries, there's not much like legwork really. The NBA playoffs is so streaky, so up and down, and the swings are tough, even for somebody who's been doing this as long as you or I have. And so I'm cold in general right now, game by game. It's been like since Thursday last week, I think, since I had like a true blue winner in an NBA playoff game. And seeing the Grizzlies lose the way they lost in Game 4 to the Lakers was crushing, because I have huge positions on them to win this series at minus odds, so it's going to hurt especially good. So where I stand now is I don't really know if I want the Grizzlies to fight back to give me some hope just to lose in Game 6. I kind of just want to pull the Band-Aid off and just get this over with and move on. Right? Like, I almost feel like we'll get a better price to fade this terrible Lakers team. These guys stink, but the Grizzlies completely no-showed in this series. And I kind of just want to pull the Band-Aid off, have the Grizzlies lose, have LeBron do something insane at the end of this game so everybody just pumps his tires up for the next 3 days while we sort out Kings Warriors, and then just bet on whoever wins that series against the Lakers in the next round. Because I got to tell you, I do not expect continued contributions the way we've seen from Austin Reeves, from Jared Vanderbilt, from Rui Hachimura, Like these guys are really, really, really playing above their level. And, there are moments even in game 4 where the ball was in Dennis Schroeder's hands for a huge portion of that game. And that guy is a walking turnover. Like, it is really, really amazing to me that the Lakers have found ways to win here. I want to blame the Grizzlies more for the no-show than I really want to give the Lakers credit. And so I kind of just want to pull the Band-Aid off, hope they lose this game, and maybe we get a better price to fade them in the next round. Because I got to tell you, I'm just not seeing it with this Lakers team.
Yeah, I feel worse about the Lakers now than I did before the series, where I thought that they were the defense is really good. The offense is kind of clunky and doesn't look right. The issue with the Lakers is the issue with the Grizzlies is that their depth, which was supposed to be a strength, is just atrocious now that Clark and Adams are gone, and the fact that guys like Rui and Schroeder, like, they're just playing better than Aldama and Roddy and Kennard, and Tyus Jones can't really play because LeBron will just hunt him. So it's just a bit of a mess for the Grizz now. And yeah, it feels improbable that they're going to win 3 straight. Okay, let's hit a promo before we get into Bucks Heat. Every season is draft season. Get your RotoWorld Draft Guide bundled today and dominate your football, baseball, and basketball drafts packed with profiles, rankings, projections. Order today and get all 3 RotoWorld Draft Guides for the price of 2, plus use code BUNDLE5 and save an extra $5 at checkout. Speaking of being cold in the playoffs, your Grizzlies series bet is my Bucks series bet, where I have so much Milwaukee Bucks to win this series. Minus 190, minus 270, got a little plus 130 the other night. And I just feel strongly that this price is still wrong, and that you still, as bad as this team has looked, as good as Jimmy Butler has looked, this Heat team is atrocious. They have nothing outside of Jimmy Butler. Caleb Martin was the second option on offense. Bam Adebayo can't move with this hamstring thing. They were playing Highsmith over him for stretches. Kevin Love played 22 minutes. This team is terrible. And Butler has been heroic and all-time, and he deserves all the credit in the world. But at the same time, I still think the series price is a bet, particularly if you can get the plus 125, plus 130 that's still floating around there, because you just have to math out the money lines. And the money lines do not add up to plus 130 when you consider that the Bucks, if they get to Game 7, they're going to be shorter in that game than they are tonight in terms of a price. And yes, the markets can be wrong sometimes, but they can't be wrong enough to the point where this isn't a bet. So still going down with the ship with the Bucks. Think they will win tonight comfortably, and then we'll see what happens in Miami. But the series has been a nightmare, but I still make the Bucks favorite to win it. So that's where I'm at. Where are you?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a weird one, though, because the Bucks are just spectacular choke artists in the playoffs in years past, and so you kind of wonder if those skeletons in the closet will matter mentally. I personally think that this game is Bucks or pass, one way action here. Heat shooting regression is due. Jimmy Butler using this as an active rest game instead of kind of leaving it all in the court in a close loss. I would expect more like he uses this as active rest, because I think anyone with two brain cells to rub together would realize that the Heat entire fortune in this series revolves around his singular performance, and he at times in Game 4 looked absolutely gassed. I have no idea how he came up with the reserves to play that well in the fourth quarter, but he did, and I would expect again that this is more of an active rest for the Heat than it is we're going to try to close it out tonight in Game 5. So Bucks in general are the side. Heat team total under 104, I think, is the play.
Yep. The Bucks, the concern about the Bucks is obviously Giannis's health. He didn't look right in Game 4. He looked like 75, 80% maybe, still able to be effective. But the thing with injuries like that is you have to watch the market and watch the steam with those types of things, because before the Kawhi thing, before the Embiid thing, those markets were, particularly the Kawhi one, they were steaming towards the other side. Today, the market is steaming towards Milwaukee, which is a really good sign around Giannis's health, because if he was, in real trouble with the back, I think you would see it shift the other way. It still might happen, but that is a good one for Bucks backers. Warriors -2 at the Kings, total 234.5. I don't really know what to make of this series anymore. I think it seems fairly appropriately priced in terms of the line. Fox is going to play. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, this is my favorite bet of the night, and it is under 234.5. I think you saw the defenses match up very, very well with what offensive plan A's were in that game 4. Despite it going well over the total, there was a lot of really wild shot making that got it there. And I think that with Fox potentially a step slow, kind of just in general, not having as much confidence on his dribble, and or if he can't ultimately play as many minutes as they would like him to, then all of a sudden this 234.5 looks like it should be 224.5. So under for me, alt under for me, favorite look of the night.
Yep, like it. And just the reminder that pace slows down the longer a series goes. I think you lose about 4 possessions from game 1 to game 7 over the course of the series. Just teams, they understand each other's actions more. Possessions go longer. Teams, it just slows down. So
this series is a candidate for that on steroids because it started so fast. And you know what I most want to see? Draymond Green on Fox. Get in his head, mess with him early enough. Like he's already going to be dealing with some confidence stuff with the broken finger. Like I would expect a lot of Green on Fox in this one.
Yep, I like it. All right, we're done. Don't forget to check out NBCSportsEdge.com for more information to help you with the waivers. Please rate and subscribe us if you're listening to us as a podcast. Good luck, Bucks tonight. Good luck under Golden State, Sacramento. Good luck, I guess. Grizzlies, maybe not. Good luck, Lakers. And we'll break it all down coming up. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.